What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Over the weeks, we've been talking about London session strategy, where I'm talking about a profitable London session strategy where we will look to take advantage of the London session. Remember, I said that the high or the low of the day is actually going to be formed during the London session. It's not actually certain, but the high or the low of the day is likely going to be formed during the London session. So this is what we've been talking about for weeks now, and I actually made a lesson earlier last week where I showed examples of where this strategy actually played out. So, and within the week, some of my students who actually watch our lessons, they sent results showing me where they made money from this particular strategy. So these are strategies actually playing out currently in the market. So I think it's actually time to take advantage of this, because what you do in the financial markets is to take advantage of profitable patterns to make money. Okay, we take advantage of strategies that works. Okay, and what you're going to notice is that I teach strategies that works on this channel. So if this is actually what you're interested in, consider subscribing, and let's jump into the lesson right now. So what we're basically going to do in today's lesson is we're going to go over EURUSD and GBPUSD to analyze this particular strategy to see if this strategy actually played out within the week. Okay, so this is what we gonna do, and I think this is actually gonna be the last lesson on this London session strategy. I've actually talked about it getting to a month. I've been talking about London session strategy, so I think after this lesson it's going to take a while before I'm going to come back to this strategy. Okay, we're going to look at some other concepts of smart money trading. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over last week starting from Monday till Friday to see how this strategy played out in the market. So we're going to just look at the price action. We are not actually going to look for the entries, right? We're just going to look at the price actions on the price chart. So we're going to look at 5 trading days. Okay, and if you look right here, we're actually on the daily time frame, and we're going to select the 5 days of the week starting from Monday till Friday. Now if you look, this is actually Friday right here, so this has to be Thursday. The bullish candle is I think Wednesday. Then this candle, that's the pin bar, I think this is actually on Tuesday. Now this bearish candle we have right here is on Monday. So this is what we're actually going to look at. So this is the daily time frame. I'm actually doing it this way, so to select it is going to be very easy. Yeah, actually some other ways you can actually do it, but I'm just doing it this way. I think this is actually the easiest way to do it. So since we've actually selected the 5 trading days, what we're going to do is we're going to drop to the 15 minutes time frame. Now I said this strategy can actually be traded on the 15 minutes or the 30 minutes time frame depending on you. It's actually based on personal preference, and currently we are actually looking at EURUSD, and we're going to do it quickly. After looking at EURUSD, we're going to jump straight to GBPUSD to see how this actually plays out. So these are the 5 trading days. Now let's jump to the 15 minutes time frame. Here is the 15 minutes time frame, and you can see the red line where I highlighted the 5 trading days. So that means throughout last week, this is the price action we see starting from this area till this market close right here. That is market opened at this area, and this is the whole price action till the close of the week, right? Now what we're basically going to do is I think we should impute our session indicator, that is this session break, which is actually going to help us to separate different trading days to make it a little bit easier for us. And I think you see this is the session break, and you see it has actually helped us to separate different trading days. So this is this one right here, this particular day right here, this is actually Monday, this is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and here is Friday. Remember, according to my time zone, I'm using UTC +1, and you can come over here to choose your time zone if you want to use this strategy. But based on my own time zone, which I'm using UTC +1, the Asian session starts from 12 a.m. till 9 a.m. right? That's when the Asian session starts, and that's the whole time for Asian session. And what we usually do in this strategy, we try to mark the open of the Asian session and the open of the London session, because it's during London session we look to get entries for this strategy. And just like I said, I want us to do this very quickly. So let's start from Monday right here and see if this strategy actually played out. So where is the Asian open right here? And I said Asia opens by 12 a.m. So where is 12 a.m. right here? This is 12 a.m. and I think I have to use the black color to, or maybe green, so it will look a little bit different, and I have to decrease the line. So this is actually 12 a.m. right here, and where is the London open? The London opens by 8 a.m. So this is 8 a.m. right here, and what we usually do is we mark the high and the low of the range. So this is the high of Asian range, and this is actually the low of the Asian range, and this is the high of the Asian range. And what do we actually see? I've actually explained this example, I think, earlier last week. Now, what we see is price took the liquidity at the Asian high, continued to push to the upside, and somewhere here, we got a shift in structure and we got an entry. Now we have a reversal to the downside, and finally, market closed at this area. So in this case, this was successful setup because we had what we looked for, the entry and the reversal to the downside. Now the high of the day was actually formed during the London session. Right now, let's go to the next day. This is on Tuesday. We're trying to do this as quick as possible, so we're going to end this. So when does Asian session opens? Asian opens by 12 a.m. and London opens by 8 a.m. So where is that 8 a.m. right here? So these are 8 a.m. right here, and from what you can actually see, this is the high of the Asian range. This is actually the high, and this is the low of the Asian range, right? This is the low of the Asian range. And what we see right here is that price retraced to the downside, very deep to the downside. We had a shift before the reversal. So for me, this is actually a failed setup. So if you're actually looking at this, I don't think you would have gotten the entry because the pullback was actually very deep. So for me, this is a failed setup, right? Now let's go to the next day and see what we have right there. This is actually the Wednesday. This Wednesday, the same time. Let's mark the high and the low of the Asian session. Now this is actually Asian open, and where is our London open? The London session opens right here. Now where is the high and the low of the range? This is the highest point of the range, and for what you can see, this is the lowest point of the range. Now this is actually the price action we love to see. During London session, you see price sweeps the liquidity at the high, and we have the reversal to the downside. So if you got your entry right here, you actually made money during this reversal to the downside. And we see after price reversed to the downside, now we see the reaction to the upside. Price reacts massively to the upside. So if you actually took a trade from here, you actually made few profits before we start seeing this reversal to the upside. So in my book, I'm going to mark this as a successful setup. This actually played out. So what you're going to note is we won the first setup, second failed, and the third one actually played out. So heading to the next day, this is actually the next day, which is being the Thursday. And what you can actually see right here is that this is the Asian open, and what you can clearly see is that this is the London open, and where is the highest point of the range? This is the high of the range, and this is actually the lowest point of the range. Now what we clearly see is that when London opened, it swept the liquidity, because if I try to move this line right here, you can see price sweeps the liquidity with a wick, and we have the reversal to the downside, where price reversed to the downside. So this is actually what we want to see, and you see this is actually a successful setup. Now if you're actually looking for an optimal trade entry pattern during the New York session, you see we got a very good one, because you see price returns back into the 0.62 level. So this is a very nice optimal entry pattern. So if you actually looking to trade the New York session, that is the continuation of the London session. If you wanted to trade it during the New York session with an optimal trade entry pattern, this is actually a nice one, and you see price reacts to the downside. So this is actually a very nice setup for me, and I'm going to mark it as a successful setup. Right now, what we can clearly see is we've actually won 3 trades, and one is a failed setup. Right now, this is actually the last day of the week, and this is Friday right here. What you can clearly see is this is the Asian open, and what we have right here is actually the London open. Where is it? This is London open right here, and what you can see is that this is the highest point of the Asian session, and this is the lowest point of the Asian session. And in this case, what you clearly see is that price didn't range during this Asian session, and according to what I said, this is actually the kind of range you want to see, where price range like this. You see the kind of range you've seen during the Asian session, but in this case, price actually trend during the Asian session. So in my book, this is actually a failed setup. So what you can clearly see is that we won 3 trades in 1 week, and we lost 2 trades. If you're actually looking to trade using this London session strategy, okay, I call it a profitable London session strategy. Now let's go to GU and see how price plays out. And what you should note is that you're actually going to see similar setups, because GU and EU usually have similar setups. So I'm very sure we're going to see something similar. Now if you actually want to learn more about this London session, what we're actually doing is a market walkthrough to see how it played out. So if you're actually interested in learning this, you just have to visit our channel. Let me show you. So this is our channel right here. This is actually our channel, and thanks to our subscribers, we have about 27,000 subscribers right now. Now these the lessons, and this is actually where the lesson started, where I talked about where did it actually started. Okay, right here profitable London session strategy. This is actually the first one, this is the second lesson, and this is the third lesson on profitable London session strategy. So if you're actually interested in learning that, come watch these videos and you're going to have a better understanding. So I think this video is going to explain it better than what I'm actually doing right now. What I'm doing right now is just a market walkthrough. Okay, so let's go back now and see what we have on GU. So this is GU, the daily time frame, and you see we have very similar price action just like we have on EURUSD. This is actually GBPUSD, and the price action is very similar to the one we've seen on EURUSD, right? Then let's do this quickly. I don't think we still have to waste time. 1 2 3 4 5. So we're going to mark the fifth candle that represents the 5 days of the week. So 1 2 3 4 5. Now this is actually red. Then we're going to drop to the 15 minutes time frame to read our price action. And you see our session indicator right here is actually helping us. That is, the session break indicator is actually helping us to separate different trading days. Okay, it's really doing its job well. Starting from this day right here, this is actually the Monday right here. This is actually Monday. Here is actually on Monday. Here is on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and here is Friday. So let's see what's happened right here. Let's try to mark the specified time. That is, the Asian opens by 12 AM, and this is 12 AM. Should be labeled with green. And where is our London opens? This is actually Asian session, and our London opens by when? By 8 o'clock, right? There, where is the high? This is actually the high of the range. This is the highest point of the range right here. If I try to mark it correctly, the highest point of the range, and this is the lowest point of the range. Now what we've seen is that price takes the liquidity at the high of the range. You see, we had a liquidity sweep at the high of the range. Price takes the liquidity, retraces to the downside, comes back for more like an entry confirmation. Then we see the reversal to the downside. Even though the price action wasn't really much, but at least this was a paying setup, and this actually marks a win trade in my book. Okay, and you see this similar setup we had on GU, where this is the Asian open. What we have right here is actually the London open. Okay, the London open is right here. Now you see we had this kind of price action where price didn't actually range during the Asian session. So this is a failed setup. No need to waste time right here. This is a failed setup for me. Now this is actually the next day. This is the next day, being Wednesday. What we're seeing is that this is the Asian open, and what we have right here is the London open. And what we see is that this is the highest point of the Asian range, and this is the lowest point of the Asian range. Now when price open, price takes the liquidity at the high of the range, retraces to the downside before we start seeing the reversal to the upside. So this is a winning trade for me, because taking a trade from here to this low, you're going to make a whole lot of money, right? So it's a win setup for me. This is actually the next day. This is being Thursday right here. What we're seeing is that this is the Asian open right here, and this is the London open right here. Now this is the high of the range, and this is the lowest point of the range. And what you can clearly see is that price sweeps the high and the retracement to the downside, and this is where I said we got an optimal trade entry. But this wasn't as deep as the one we saw on EU, and you see price continued to push to the downside. You see the continuation to the downside, and if I try to move this, you cannot see that price actually sweeps the high. Now this is a reversal to the downside, and we have the daily close right here. And this is actually on Friday, and just like I said, this is actually a totally failed setup, because this setup was very similar to the one we had on EU. So one thing you have to note right now is that this setup doesn't actually play out every day of the week. Okay, you're not going to see it every day of the week, but whenever you see it, try to take advantage of that. And it's a very profitable strategy. Just like I said, we've seen it winning week in, week out in the market, and just have it in mind that the fact that it's actually winning right now does not mean you have to win with it always. Okay, at some point it might actually fail. I have to tell you the truth. At some point it might not actually work out, and most times it might actually work out. Now you see me explaining it like this doesn't mean it's actually this simple. Before you can actually master how to get it right, get your entry and take advantage of this, it's actually going to take time. You need to practice before you can actually master it. Okay, so that's it, and I hope this was actually helpful. So if you think this was helpful, consider subscribing to the channel, and see you in the next lesson.